Hello and welcome to the next phase of VQ intensity, the taste of VQ phase as well as the athlete phase. And this is all about, we named this phase climbing, but really what climbing is about is riding at pretty much close to, just below, or just above your threshold. And when you do climbs, and I know a lot of you live in the Midwest like we do, and we don't do a lot of climbing here, but ultimately it's about building your threshold. So whether you're doing a 20K time trial, a 40K time trial, you're doing some sort of trip where you're going to go up and have some big climbs, or maybe just some steady state efforts out on the road, this is the phase that's going to really focus on that climbing or threshold-based effort.
For pretty much any athlete, regardless of what your goals are, threshold is probably the most important system for you to work on. Improving your threshold is going to improve your results in any type of race in one way or another. And the big way that it does that is making everything feel relatively easier the higher your threshold is. One of the key things that we want everybody to think about in training during this phase is an RPE level of 8 out of 10. So you're going to vary a little bit day to day in terms of the actual power numbers that you can produce, and sometimes you're going to control that and sometimes we're going to control it. But overall, if you're always thinking about RPE 8, that's kind of what these efforts should feel like. On a really good day, 8 may result in more power. On a bad day, maybe a little bit less, but that's okay. Just do with what you can on that day.
And there's a lot of ways to build your threshold. The key is getting a certain amount of time right around that threshold number. And many of you guys have done the 20-minute test before, and we consider threshold about 95% of that power. But if you're within 88 to, I would say, 102% of that power for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60 minutes, that's good threshold work. Good threshold work is not riding at that intensity for a minute and then resting 20 minutes and doing another minute. That's not enough, stimulus to the threshold system. You really want to focus at least, I would say, the minimum of 30 minutes in a workout of threshold work up to 60 minutes of that work. And sometimes when you get to those 60 and 70 minutes of threshold, you got to suppress the number just a little bit, maybe 88 to 90% of the threshold. If you're doing a little bit of shorter work of threshold, you can increase the intensity just a bit. So if you're doing time trials, if you're trying to keep up on group rides, if you're doing climbing or anything like that, this energy system is the cornerstone of building the skills necessary to go faster and keep up at those intensities.